Hello everyone. Am I audible to you? Please write it in comment if I am audible to everyone. You can type thumbs up, wave. Okay, so my name is Nitesh Goyal and I am a practicing advocate at Delhi High Court. I've been in this profession from last 7 years and I'm a partner at KY Partners. So today my topic is about anti-defection law. So I will start with it once everyone joins in, because I'm seeing right now 8 people have joined in. Okay, there will also be a question answer session after I finish my topic, and if anyone wants to ask any question, then he can write in the comment section. Yeah, should I start now? Yeah, I'm starting my lecture. So why I chose this topic, because in the current political scenario, it is the need of the hour to discuss anti-defection law. As from last 2 to 3 years, there have been many defections where the members were elected from one party and then defected to other parties. So first I'll tell the background why this law came into force and what was the need of it. So I'll start with incident that in 1967 there was an incident where Haryana MLA changed his party 3 times in a day. His name was Gaya Lal, and a saying must be known to all that there is a saying Ayaram Gayaram. So it was because of Mr. Gaya Lal only that this saying came. So what happened in, he joined 3 parties in a day. First he was elected he was an independent candidate, then he joined another party, then he joined another party in the same day, and then another party. So after that many defections took place, which prompted the government to make a legislation where these defections could be stopped. So via 52nd constitutional amendment, anti-defection came into force and 10th schedule was added in the Constitution of India. So I would like to discuss you about the provisions contained in 10th schedule, where it is mentioned that in what cases a member can be disqualified. So it is mentioned under paragraph 2 of the 10th schedule. It is mentioned that a person can be disqualified, not can be, but shall be disqualified if he has voluntarily resigned from the political party from which he is elected. So it is not just a single line that he will just give his membership, and this is not the case. Many other conditions will also be included in it, where he has been doing anti-party activities or a conduct which amounts to defection. Supreme Court has interpreted it many times, and Supreme Court has taken into account the conduct of the members which amounted to defection. Even in Ki Hoto Holoha versus Jachilu, everyone must be knowing about it. This 52nd constitutional amendment was challenged, and it was challenged on the ground that freedom of speech of legislatures legislators are taken away from this amendment and they cannot show their dissent. But what the Supreme Court said in it, that the freedom of speech can be curtailed in the interest of nation, and further observe that elections are won on the basis of programs and policies of the political parties from which they have been elected. And if it is allowed, that if defection is allowed, then it will take away the mandate of the government and also will damage the democracy, as there will be no use of voting, as anyone can change their party anytime. So what Supreme Court says that elections are won on the basis of programs and policies of the political party, and along of crossing the floor midway will create political instability as well as threat to democracy. So if you will read the statement of object and reason of 52nd Constitutional Amendment, it is mentioned that the object is given as that it has been legislated because there is need to curb the evil of political defections. Because pre 52nd Constitutional Amendment, there were many cases, pre 52nd Constitutional Amendment, there were many cases where members used to defect to other parties, and it helped in toppling many governments. So it was the need of the hour then to make a law which stopped this defection. So I want to further discuss the paragraph 2 of the 10th schedule, where one condition I have told you that, which is voluntary given up his membership of political party, from which political party means from which the member has been elected. If he has given the membership of the political party, then it is deemed, then he shall be disqualified, and the authority lies with the speaker to disqualify that person. There is one more condition where a member shall be. Am I audible? Actually, I think I got disconnected. Yeah. There is a second condition where a member can be disqualified, where if a member votes or abstains from voting in House contrary to the directions of his political party, his or her political party, and the party does not condone that action of voting of that member. If there is a time limit of 15 days, if the party condones that act within 15 days of the act of voting, then it is meant to be condoned. But after 15 days, it cannot be condoned, and he shall be disqualified. The member shall be disqualified if he votes or abstains from voting contrary to the directions of the political party. And the explanation of paragraph 2 explains that if a nominated member is elected, I would like to say nominated member is nominated as in not from the political party but as an independent, then he can become a part of the political party within 6 months of taking the oath of MP. And if he joins any political party after 6 months of taking the oath, then he shall be disqualified. So the law is clear, but some amendments are still required in it, as it does not fulfill all the requirements which our democracy needs. So in furtherance, 91st Amendment came in 2003, where it was mentioned that a person who has been disqualified cannot be made a minister or cannot be given a remunerative political post till his term is expired or till he is re-elected, whichever is earlier. So I would like to mention some case laws where the Supreme Court has mentioned that the disqualification will be from the date of the act which signifies that there has been anti-party activity or an act which amounts to disqualification. There was one case, Swami Prasad Maurya. It's Rajendra Singh Rana versus Swami Prasad Maurya, where Supreme Court clearly said that the disqualification will be from the date the act of disqualification was done, and it will not be taken away. The right of disqualification by the speaker will not be taken away if a person gives resignation after the act of disqualification. I will explain you in simpler terms. Supposedly, if a person has been given notice for the act of disqualification, supposedly today he has been given the act of the notice, and after 5 days he gives the resignation from the political party or from the member of the house, from the membership of the house. So here it will not help him to give an unfair advantage of not from disqualifying from the membership of the house, because the act of disqualification will be from the date where the act was first done. So now I will like to further discuss about the role of speaker in it. As there is paucity of time, I have to quickly wrap it up, as I have to take the answer. I have to take the questions also. I request you everyone that please write your questions in the comment section, as I will be taking after I will finish my talk. Okay. And I will discuss now the role of speaker. Here the speaker has the authority of a quasi-judicial, means the authority is quasi-judicial of the speaker here, where he has to decide whether the act of the member amounts to disqualification or not. But the role of speaker has been questioned even in the Kyoto Holoha case also, where in the minority judgment Justice J.M. Shelat said that there is a likelihood that the speaker will favor the political party from which he has been elected, as speaker is from also a political party only, and we cannot deem him to be a neutral person. So then again in Karnataka Legislative Assembly, the Supreme Court said that the only thing the speaker can do is that he has to find out that the resignation was voluntarily or genuinely. He cannot go beyond it. He has to adhere himself to this point only, and he cannot take out the background of the resignation. He has to see that that the member is not resigning forcefully, and he has been resigning voluntarily. So Supreme Court further observed in this case that growing trend is that the speaker is not acting neutral, as there have been many cases. Even in Manipur Assembly case, there was so much delay in deciding that whether the act of the member is amounting to disqualification. So the Supreme Court categorically stated that 3 months' time is sufficient for deciding that the act amounts to disqualification or not. And it also recommended that Parliament should amend a law where a tribunal can be set up where a retired Supreme Court judge can be made the head of the tribunal to decide whether a member has acted in such a manner that it has amounted to disqualification or fulfill the criteria laid down in paragraph 2 of the 10th schedule. So the objective of constitutional 52nd constitutional amendment was clearly to curb the political evils, but still there are so many loopholes in this law that the political parties are misusing it and toppling governments everywhere. First of all, what I think the amendment should be made in anti-defection law is a member should not be allowed to contest again in the same assembly session if he has resigned, because it creates an unbalanced favor to the party to which he is defected, and it is against the democracy as the members are elected on the basis of policies and programs of the political parties, on the basis of political programs and policies, and but it is not in the case of independent candidates, because they fought solely and they are elected on their own. But it is not in the case of it is not in the case where political parties give tickets to the members and then in midterm they cross the floor and defects to other parties. And what I think is that there should also be a law where there should be a ban if there had been a pre-poll alliance, and after coming of the results of election the parties break down and one party forms the government with another. I mean to say that it not forms the government with the party with which it fought the election, and forms it with another party which was in its opposition. So it also creates an imbalance, because the people who has voted for that party can be also on the basis of the alliance with the party with which they have done it. So if anybody wants to ask any question, please write it in the comment section. So I'll take it, because I'm going to finish my talk and I'll take the questions then. So I would like to further discuss the 52nd amendment, means the 10th schedule, where the condition have been given that where the anti-defection law does not apply. The anti-defection law does not apply where one party merges into another party, which is mentioned in explanation of paragraph 2, where it is mentioned that anti-defection will not apply where a political party merges into another political party, but it should be there should be at least two-third of the member of that political party who are ready to merge their party in another party. So I would like to read that. It's in paragraph 4. Disqualification on ground of defection not to apply in case of merger. A member of a house shall not be disqualified under subparagraph 1 of paragraph 2 where his original political party merges with another political party. So where original political party merges with another political party and he claims that he and any other member of his original political party have become members of such political party, or the case may be of a new political party formed by such merger, or have not accepted the merger and opted to function as a separate group. So I would like to come to clause 2. For the purposes of subparagraph 1 of this paragraph, the merger of the original political party of a member of a house shall be deemed to have taken place if and only if not less than 2/3 members of the legislative party concerned have. If two-third of the member are not agreeing to this merger, then it will not be deemed to be a merger, and the anti-defection law will also apply in this case. So I would like to mention some more case laws. Rather, I would like to mention Quixoto Holoa versus Jachelu, where the Supreme Court struck down paragraph 7 of the 10th schedule, where it was mentioned that the decision of the speaker will not be amenable to judicial review. So what the Supreme Court held in this case, that if the power of judicial review will be taken away from the court, then it will alter the basic structure of the constitution. As Article 368 requires that there should be a separation of power between judiciary, executive and legislature, and if this power of court is taken away, then it will create an improper balance towards the legislator, where it can do anything and at any point of time. So I would again want to know that if anyone wants to know want to ask any question, then please write it in comment box. I think no one has any question. But yeah, one question here regarding current political scenario in Rajasthan. So what's happening in Rajasthan is that the speaker has served the disqualification notices to 19 MLAs, and it has been alleged in that notice that they have voluntarily given up the membership of their party. But I would like to say that 19 MLAs to be rebelling MLAs, as they approach the High Court and allege that we have not done any anti-party activities, but we have only dissented with our chief minister, and there has been no anti-party activity. Since this case is pending in the High Court and judgment is due to come tomorrow, I would not like to go deep into it, but want to mention one thing over here, that if an act, if there was no act which shows that there has been no such thing which amounted to anti-party activities or giving up the membership, then the speaker cannot give notice to the members. Though there has been Supreme Court judgment that pre-deciding of disqualification, before the deciding of disqualification notice by the speaker, there cannot be challenge before any court. But as the law is evolving, there new laws and new judgments come and clear the picture. So this is for the first time that categorically there has been a question before the High Court that whether the notice given by the speaker is bad in law or good in law. So tomorrow the judgment is coming. We are waiting for that only. Yeah. So if anyone wants to ask any other question. I don't think anyone wants to. So then I'll be ending my lecture, and thank you everyone for listening out me and with great patience. Thank you so much. Thank you.